Hello, everyone. Today I'm with Martin Seville, who's actually a confidence coach. And we've been having a fabulous conversation. And Martin's come up with this great idea of how he helps people through work and life 101. That really resonated with me, Martin, because sometimes it's getting in there before things become too big. It's kind of that first aid. Let me just see if we can help. And that is one of your messages that you're going to share with us now. So that 101 really resonated with me as let's help before something blows out of control. What can you add to
That's
that?
great. Yeah, no. Thanks ever so much. Yeah, life and work 101. I was hoping that this would resonate with you because life can be so complicated, and humans have a great way of making everything complicated. But what I discovered through my journey, which was a journey of 20 years in the corporate world in financial services, and then 10 years of depression and high anxiety and burnout, and to be honest, other paths that I wouldn't wish on anybody. What I discovered through that journey was there are some really simple, basic things that if we all did them, they were just taught to us at an early age, actually, and we stuck to those, we would all have a far more healthy, joyful, fulfilling, abundant life. And I say abundant, I don't mean financially a multimillionaire. I'm talking about truly being abundant as a fulfilling and joyful life. And it was crazy because, like I said, life is very complicated, or at least we kind of think it's complicated. And my story of being overwhelmed and really, really stressed, people that are in that space, they can't see the wood for the trees. And they don't have the perspective to kind of look at what's really happening and what they can change. They're too ingrained in, well, I've got this to do and this to do and this to do. I've got to get it done, and there are bills to pay. I can't possibly lose my job, and I don't want to be a failure. I don't want people to think I'm a failure. And you go through this whole mindset that really just catastrophize the whole situation. And for me, for example, it was a case of, I always knew there was another restructure coming up. And although I was great at my job and I'd never let anyone down in terms of that job, there was always that, oh, I don't think I'm good enough. I'm going to have to work even harder, improve even more. And if I don't, then I'm going to get marked down in my performance review, and then I won't get a pay rise or a bonus. And then the next restructure, I'm going to be out. And then if I'm out, I'm going to lose the house. My wife's going to leave me. I'm going to lose the children. And before I know it, I convince myself I'm in the gutter, homeless. And there are so many people in the world that go through that spiral and say, if this one thing doesn't work, then my whole life is going to unravel. What I found was, you know what? The worst things in life can happen, and you can be at rock bottom, and life will still find a way. And I know from our conversation, we said about there's always a conversation you've not had. There's always somebody you've not spoken to, and there is always something you haven't tried. And those have stuck with me from somebody who, without going into too morbid detail, somebody who got to such a point in their life when they felt the only way out was to end their life. Not for drama, not because it was trendy, because I literally could not cope with life anymore, what was going on in my head and my body. For somebody who had been in that place and then learned, I had one conversation with my wife. She asked me how I was after I'd made this decision. She caught me at that time, and I went and told her. That one conversation saved my life. And that led to a whole level of other interventions and other things that happened to me that proved beyond a doubt there were conversations I had, there was knowledge I didn't have, there was knowledge that I didn't have, there was medication I wasn't on, there was diagnosis that I didn't have, there were people that I needed that I hadn't spoken to before, there was a lot of stuff that I could do that I hadn't tried before. And that is liberating. And so certainly as one of our, Life 101s, it's about knowing that you can always have a conversation with somebody. And My
Beautiful.
3 takeaways are, we talked about these 3 takeaways about you are good enough. When you're stressed and overwhelmed, you'll convince yourself you're not. You'll convince yourself that it's all on you, that you're the failure, that it's you that can't cope. I've never come across anybody that isn't good enough. They can always do everything. They can always do what they've been asked to do. They just can't do it all at the same time, and they can't do it with some deadline yesterday. Okay?
Beautiful.
So you are always good enough. Feeling stressed and overwhelmed is not the price or the tax that you pay to work and live in the 21st century. That is not the day-to-day life. Well, it's not even a life, that's an existence you have to put up with. One of the things you need to do, though, is the third thing, is to have the courage to reach out. Go and have a conversation. Tell somebody how you're feeling, how life is. And that can lead to amazing, amazing change and transformation in your life, like it did
Absolutely.
for me. From rock bottom to actually finding my purpose in life, finding out who I really was, aligning completely with my core values and my beliefs, and leading a life that fills me with joy and purpose and fulfillment. And that feels great,
It's
considering the
beautiful.
journey that I've been on. So yeah, absolutely great
Wow.
conversation with you. And those are my kind of some key things from my
Right.
life and work
Thank you.
101.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. I especially love your emphasis on really trauma really separates and fragments us. And we spaces, reaching out is really where healing comes. Healing always, trauma comes within a relational space and healing comes. You were not alone. Thank you, Martin, for being with us and those valuable life lessons.
You are very welcome. Thanks for having me.